Hey guys, I thought I'd put a quick video together to show you how I went about creating my remix for Dada Life's You Will Do What We Will Do. Um, I'll basically give you a quick talk through how I put my sections together, like my drums, my synths, anything I did to the vocals, and the effects. Um, what I normally do when I start doing this, for this track, I already knew what I wanted to do. Um, I wanted something quite simple, um, and instead of making it as loud as possible, I tried to utilize a lot of silence, which is sort of like these spots here, and then you'll see um, after the main drop, I utilize a lot. I utilize a lot of silence as well, because you always get producers who try and make things as loud as possible and try and fit as much in as possible. I tried to go in the opposite direction and put as little in as possible, so my drums are very, very simple. And then as are like all the other synths and stuff. So if you haven't already heard my remix of this, it is elsewhere on my channel, so feel free to go and have a look. I'll give you a quick sort of look at my drums, and then I'll start talking through those. So the kick is a kick I sampled off of another track, and just stuck it in here. The clap is just the same clap I always use. The hats are just standard Vengeance hats. Same with the snare. And this snare here is a snare which I get asked quite a lot, where do I get it from? This is another snare I sampled. I believe I sampled this snare from Axwell's remix of In My Mind. But yeah, so to look through these drums, I'll give you a quick playthrough, and I'll skip through to sort of where it changes up and stuff. That's pretty much the sort of main drums. I have in the breakdown got a snare build, which I've shown how to make in a previous video, and the snare build's this part. So this is where you'll actually see how I've tried to utilize silence, because I've tried to keep it literally as simple as possible. And then to bring in the clap. And then some hi-hats. This just keeps the whole beat moving. Um, but yeah, so it pretty much does that, and then builds up with the snare again, and then you've got like sort of all the drums just come straight back in. So that's the drums. Normally when I do this, I'll duplicate the kick and stick it up here outside the drums bus, turn the output off, and rename it sidekick. Because what I do is I'll play around with the envelope settings to get a nice sidechain for anything that I plan to sidechain, like any effects, any vocals, the pluck, and so forth. I'll show you my super saw now. This is split into 3 parts. It's the highs, which is not quite sure how to open up Silence when it's like this at the moment. But basically what I've done is I created a super saw and then created a super saw and set the the octaves inside the oscillators down an octave, and then basically did the same with this and then layered them on top of each other. So the high saw sounds like this. The mid saw sounds like this. And the bass saw sounds like this. Oh wait, maybe I just used a sine wave for that. My bad. You'll probably have noticed that I do have some automation, which is this. This is sort of a trick that Dada Life themselves use quite a lot. Whereas they'll open up their source inside an instrument rack and create a massive chain that they can automate using a macro. And in this chain, I've got a reverb, I think this is just the default setting. A ping pong delay, a limiter to make sure it doesn't like sort of like peak over 0. This can also be used to make it louder and sort of swell as well, and also a saturator to make it a bit fatter. Also, if you go to map, you can change like the parameters, like the reverb, like the max wet signal you can have is 20%. Whereas normally when you do this, the max is set to 100, so it can get quite messy. The ping pong delay, the max is at 40. I've set the limiter so it'll boost it by 10 dB and the saturator by 15. So all in all, the super saw sounds like this. What else have I got on here? Just an EQ, to like cut out any low end. And then just a stereo widener. So that's practically the same for all these really. Like cutting out any low end, but I've like sort of moved this down a little bit more to like let some more lows in due to the fact that it's a mid. And then another stereo widener. And then I could have just done a low pass on this, but it didn't really sort of like peak too high, so I didn't really feel the need to. You may notice that I've got this on, but it's not actually on, so it's not doing anything. And because I had the silence set to re-trigger, I didn't really need to use the utility because it was only sort of one voice. This is when I was just playing around with actually using a saw for the bottom. Then I just ended up sticking with a sine wave. Well, so we've got the pluck from the beginning. So that's that. The main synths. I took a different approach to this as to how I normally do synths, because I already had sort of, I wouldn't really call it a melody, I'd call it just a synth pattern really, that I wanted to sit around the drums. I programmed it out, and because I was feeling a bit lazy, I started going through the presets in silent, and the first one I came across was BS Italo, which my synth pattern was this. And one thing Dada Life say to do is to control the spaces between your notes, because you can get a lot more punctuation in there. But yeah, so this part of the synth sounds like this. So yeah, as I say, that's just a standard preset. For the bass line, which sounds like this. I happened across this preset, but at the time I didn't like. It didn't sound exactly how I wanted it to sound. It sounded pretty close, but not exact. I wanted it to sound like quite sort of almost like sort of 8-bit. So there was some noise in there. So what I did was I added some noise, and then sort of played around with the cutoff settings until I got the sort of sound that I was looking for. Then I added a saturator, which I know Dada Life like to use quite a lot. An EQ, just like sort of boost the low end a little bit and like cut out some of the really low end. And then just a really harsh compressor just to like sort of get the actual sound. Because if I turn this off, you'll just get Whereas if you have it on, and if you put it with the drums, if you put it with the drums, you'll get this. Not too sure why that's not working. Yeah, there we go. So what else? Yeah, I made sure in certain parts like this, I dropped the bass out just to like sort of give the track more room to breathe, but I kept the arpeggio going. So when this part comes in, it sounds like this. There are also other parts like here where I dropped both the arpeggio and the bass line out, except when it came to like everything dropping back in again, I delayed these until like the sort of clap hits, so it gives it more impact. So you get what else? So that's the main synths. The vocals, I don't think I really did too much to. Yeah, they're just standard. I pretty much I basically cut them up as I needed to, so they'd fit with any breakdowns, or like for here for example, I wanted to create a break with these exact words. So I just cut it up, and then you get this. And same for here, it's just like little vocal edits just to keep things interesting. And then just like sort of like the standard a cappella there. And then one of the last things I normally tend to do when making tracks is to add effects. For this effect, I had some white noise that I created. The way I created this was there's a white noise setting in silent, and I recorded the full length of it, and then went into Logic, and then basically flexed it so it lasted for exactly 4 bars. So I know when I drop it into here, it'll last for exactly 4 bars, and then I just I reversed it and put a sidechain on it. So you get this. What else do I have? This is just like a standard impact. I also have some very heavily sidechained white noise, which is just like straight from Silence. This is like, the reason I sidechained it so heavily is so it just really pumps. And then I timed this part to basically, I timed the white noise to stop when the where's the snare? When this snare hits, just like sort of like give it more punctuation. yeah, overall that's my remix. It's pretty simple, but that's how I set out with it in mind. So yeah, if you like this video, give it a like. If you have any questions, leave a comment in the comment box or send me a message to my inbox. Thanks guys, and see you in the next video.